I stood in front of the mirror, the soft light of my bedroom casting a warm glow over the satin folds of the dress. It wasn't just any dress. It was the dress. The one that had cost me $300, more than I'd spent on a single outfit in years. And yet, in that moment, it didn't feel like an indulgence. It felt like armor. The idea had started weeks before, when an unexpected invitation landed in my inbox. My ex, the man who had once known every corner of my heart, was hosting a dinner party for old friends. It had been years since we'd spoken, and I couldn't quite explain why I felt the need to show up looking like I'd stepped straight out of a luxury fashion magazine. But somewhere deep down, I wanted him to see me as I am now, confident, elegant, and a little untouchable. So I went searching, store after store, rack after rack. Most dresses whispered, nice or comfortable. I wasn't looking for nice. I wanted unforgettable. I wanted luxury fashion over 60. Timeless elegance that made a statement without shouting. When I finally slipped this one on, something shifted. The cut hugged in just the right places, the deep jewel tone brought my skin to life, and the fabric moved like water when I walked. Still, I knew that looking the part meant more than just wearing the right dress. I wanted every detail, from my hairstyle to my accessories, to tell a story. Not a story about winning someone back, but about a woman who has learned the art of dressing for herself. A woman who radiates her own kind of beauty, the kind that comes from years of living and learning. And yet, a small part of me still wondered, would he notice? Would he remember the woman he once knew? Or see the one I had become? That question lingered as I zipped the dress, took a deep breath, and began preparing for the rest of my look. But finding the perfect dress was just the first step. Why I chose this dress. Finding the right dress at 60 is not the same as finding it at 30. At 30, I could slip into almost anything and make it work with a quick adjustment here, a trendy belt there. But at 60, I've learned something important. Style is less about chasing trends and more about knowing exactly what makes you feel like you. When I started searching, I didn't want just another pretty dress. I wanted the one. The kind of piece you put on and instantly feel taller, stronger, and just a little bit more mysterious. Something that spoke elegant outfits for mature women without trying too hard. I began my hunt in small boutiques, the kind where you can feel the quality of the fabric before you even see the price tag. I avoided anything too flashy. Bright neons and oversized prints can sometimes overpower a face with softer features. Instead, I gravitated toward deep, rich jewel tones. Emerald greens, sapphire blues, and that one unforgettable shade of burgundy that seemed to light up my skin. Fit was my next priority. I've made the mistake before of falling for a beautiful dress that simply didn't work with my body shape. This time, I wanted something with structure, a defined waistline to create a flattering silhouette, gentle draping to skim over areas I'd rather not spotlight, and a neckline that framed my face without revealing too much. If there's one thing luxury fashion over 60 has taught me, it's that elegance often lies in what you don't show. The moment I tried this dress on, I knew. The fabric had weight to it. Not heavy, but substantial, so it moved gracefully when I walked. The sleeves were slightly sheer, offering just enough coverage without feeling conservative, and the length? Perfect. Right below the knee, elongating my legs and giving me that timeless, polished feel. Of course, the price tag made me pause. $300 is no small splurge, even for something as special as this. But then I thought about the message I wanted to send that night. To my ex, yes, but also to myself. That I was worth the investment. That I deserved to wear something that made me feel every bit as extraordinary as the life I've built since we parted ways. This dress wasn't about turning back the clock or recreating the woman I used to be. It was about honoring the woman I am now, confident, independent, and completely comfortable in her own skin. Still, as perfect as the dress felt, I knew my look wouldn't be complete without the details that would pull it all together. After all, elegance is in the finishing touches. And that's when I started planning the rest of my look. Completing the look. A beautiful dress can set the tone, but the details are what make it unforgettable. I knew that if I wanted to walk into that dinner with the kind of quiet confidence that turns heads, every element had to work together, from my accessories to my hair and makeup. I started with jewelry. Over the years, I've learned that the wrong accessories can instantly cheapen an otherwise luxurious look, especially for women over 60. I wanted pieces that whispered elegance instead of shouting for attention. I settled on a pair of delicate gold drop earrings, just enough movement to catch the light, but not so bold they distracted from my face. A thin gold bracelet completed the set, its warm tone echoing the richness of my dress's jewel color. Next came shoes. I skipped the sky-high heels of my younger days. Experience has taught me that discomfort shows in your posture, your walk, even your smile. Instead, I chose a pair of low-heeled nude pumps. They elongated my legs without stealing attention from the dress, and more importantly, they let me move gracefully all evening. Hair was my next challenge. I wanted a style that felt polished but effortless, something that said I woke up like this, even though we both know it took a bit of work. I opted for a softly layered blowout with volume at the crown, framing my face and adding a touch of glamour without crossing into overdone territory. Makeup was the final piece. My goal was simple: enhance, not mask. I began with a light layer of anti-aging skincare, hydrating serum and a smoothing primer to give my skin a fresh, healthy base. A luminous foundation evened out my complexion, and a sweep of rosy blush brought life to my cheeks. I kept my eyes defined but soft, a neutral eyeshadow palette, a hint of eyeliner, and mascara to lift my lashes. For the lips, I chose a deep berry shade that tied in beautifully with the tone of my dress, bold enough to make a statement yet sophisticated enough for an evening affair. Standing back from the mirror, I felt the pieces fall into place. This wasn't just an outfit, it was a message. Every choice, the understated jewelry, the practical yet elegant shoes, the timeless hairstyle, said something about the woman I am now. A woman who understands her worth, her style, and her story. Still, as complete as my look felt, the thought of walking into that dinner stirred a mix of excitement and nerves. It wasn't just about the clothes anymore. It was about facing someone who had once been such a big part of my life. And as the evening approached, I found myself wondering how that first moment of seeing him again would truly feel. The moment we met again. The restaurant was bathed in a golden glow, the kind that makes everything and everyone look a little softer. My heels clicked against the polished floor as the host led me toward the table. I spotted him before he saw me. He was leaning back in his chair, laughing at something one of our mutual friends had said. For a moment, I just stood there, taking in the way time had shaped his face. When he finally looked up, our eyes met. And in that instant, the years between us seemed to collapse into a single heartbeat. His smile froze for just a fraction of a second, and I could tell he was taking me in. The dress, the hair, the way I carried myself. I didn't need him to say a word. I could see it in his eyes. Recognition, surprise, maybe even admiration. I approached the table with a calm I didn't entirely feel. My friends greeted me warmly, pulling out a chair, but my awareness of him lingered like a soft hum in the background. He rose slightly, a polite gesture, and said, "It's been a long time." His voice was the same, deep, familiar, but now edged with something I couldn't quite name. I smiled and replied, "It has." And then, like we were both unwilling to break the moment, we simply held each other's gaze for a second longer than necessary. As the evening unfolded, we slipped into easy conversation. We talked about mutual friends, the places we'd traveled, the paths our lives had taken. I noticed he asked questions about me in a way that suggested genuine curiosity. Or maybe he was trying to fill in the blanks of the years we'd missed. And yet, underneath the pleasant words, there was an unspoken awareness. I knew he was noticing the subtle details, the way my jewelry caught the candlelight, the way my dress moved when I leaned forward, the quiet confidence in my posture. Still, as much as part of me enjoyed the attention, I realized something else. I wasn't here to impress him anymore. I was here as my own person, living my own story. And while his opinion might have once meant everything to me, it no longer defined my worth. But then, just when I thought the evening would remain pleasantly predictable, something shifted. A simple comment, a subtle gesture, and the energy between us changed. Unexpectedly, and in a way I hadn't prepared for. And that's when the night took a turn I never saw coming. The unexpected twist. It happened halfway through the meal. We'd just finished a round of shared appetizers when I noticed him glance toward the entrance. His expression softened. And then, there she was. A woman about his age, maybe a little younger, walking toward our table with the kind of casual familiarity that told me everything before a single word was spoken. She leaned down, kissed him lightly on the cheek, and slipped into the empty seat beside him. He introduced her as Anna, my partner. I smiled genuinely, though I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel the faintest sting beneath the surface. Not because I wanted him back, but because some small human part of me had pictured the evening playing out differently. Anna was lovely, warm, gracious, and effortlessly stylish in her own way. She complimented my dress almost immediately, asking where I'd found it. I told her, and she laughed, saying she'd never have the patience for boutique shopping. There was no malice in her tone, just an easy honesty. As the conversation continued, I realized something surprising. I wasn't uncomfortable. In fact, I found myself relaxing more. Watching them together, I could see that his life had moved forward, just as mine had. The energy between us wasn't tangled or tense anymore. It was simply part of a shared history. Somewhere between dessert and coffee, the sharp edge of expectation I'd been carrying all evening began to fade. I'd dressed with the idea of making a certain kind of impression, but here, in this moment, I understood that the impression I wanted to leave wasn't about beauty or allure. It was about presence, about showing up fully as myself, not for validation, but for connection. When the evening began to wind down, he turned to me and said softly, "You look happy." It caught me off guard because he was right. I was happy. Not because of the dress or the way he looked at me, but because I knew, deep down, that I had nothing to prove. Walking out of the restaurant, I felt lighter. The cool night air brushed against my skin, carrying with it the quiet satisfaction of a story that had reached its natural ending. And yet, as I headed home, one thought lingered. If my choice of dress, hair, and presence wasn't really about him, then who was it for? That question stayed with me, and it led to a much deeper realization about style, confidence, and the way we dress for ourselves. The lesson and the fashion takeaway. Driving home that night, the city lights flickering through my windshield, I replayed the evening in my mind. The laughter, the conversations, the surprise of meeting Anna, it all wove together into something unexpected. But more than anything, I kept coming back to one simple truth. I hadn't bought that $300 dress to impress my ex. I had bought it to remind myself who I am. In our younger years, we're taught, sometimes subtly, sometimes outright, that dressing beautifully is about turning heads, catching eyes, and being noticed. But as I've grown older, I've discovered the opposite is true. The most powerful outfits are the ones that make you notice yourself. When you slip into something that feels like a second skin, that flatters your shape, that makes your posture straighten without thinking, that's when style becomes confidence. That night, the dress did exactly that. The rich jewel tone complemented my complexion, the tailoring honored my figure, and the movement of the fabric made me feel graceful with every step. But here's the important part. The dress was only the starting point. The real transformation came from the way it made me carry myself. For women over 60, style isn't about chasing trends. It's about curating a wardrobe that reflects the life you're living now. That might mean investing in luxury fashion over 60 pieces that will serve you for years, or choosing confidence-boosting outfits that make you feel unstoppable every time you wear them. It's about knowing your colors, your shapes, your textures, and not apologizing for wanting quality. I also realized how much joy there is in getting ready for yourself. That quiet moment in front of the mirror, adjusting a necklace, smoothing a sleeve. It's not vanity, it's self-respect. It's acknowledging that you deserve to see yourself at your best, even if the only audience is you. And perhaps that's the real secret to elegance, dressing in a way that tells your story without ever having to say a word. My ex may have noticed the dress. Anna may have admired it, but the person who felt its impact the most was me. So the next time you're standing in a boutique, holding something beautiful and wondering if it's too much, I hope you remember this. You are never too much. Your life, your experiences, your presence, they deserve to be celebrated in every stitch, every seam, every carefully chosen accessory. That night taught me that style isn't a competition or a performance. It's a language. And when you speak it fluently, you speak first to yourself. And that's why, as I hung the dress back in my closet the next morning, I knew this story wasn't ending. It was just the beginning of a new chapter in how I choose to dress, live, and carry myself. Conclusion: the ending that matters. The next morning, sunlight poured through my bedroom window, catching the edge of the dress where it hung neatly on its hanger. I paused for a moment, running my fingers along the smooth fabric. It struck me that, while the evening had been memorable, the real gift had happened long before I stepped into that restaurant. It happened in the moment I decided I was worth the effort. In the hours I spent finding something that truly reflected my style, in the quiet ritual of getting ready, not to impress anyone else, but to honor the woman I've become. That's the thing about anti-aging style and elegant outfits for mature women. They're not about looking younger. They're about looking like the best version of yourself right now. Confidence isn't born from trying to fit into an old mold. It's built by embracing the life, the wisdom, and the beauty you carry today. Yes, my ex noticed the dress. Yes, the evening had its unexpected moments. But none of that changed the deeper truth. I walked into that room already complete. I didn't need validation to feel beautiful. The dress didn't give me that. It simply reflected what was already there. And that's what I want you to take from this story. Whether it's a $300 dress, a favorite pair of earrings, or a simple blouse that fits just right, choose what makes you stand a little taller. Let your wardrobe be an extension of your self-respect. If you've been holding back, saving your best for a special occasion, I hope you realize that you are the special occasion. Your life, every single day, is worth celebrating in style. As I closed my closet door that morning, I felt a quiet joy. Not because of how the night had gone, but because I knew I'd never again need an excuse to dress in a way that made me feel radiant. And if you're ready for more inspiration, I'd love for you to join me in my next video, where I'll share 5 luxury fashion pieces every woman over 60 should own to look and feel incredible every single day. Because this isn't just about clothes, it's about living beautifully, from the inside out.